And we're live. Excuse me.
Well, tough week in professional wrestling here, eh,
Well,
bud?
it was. Yeah, no, it definitely was. The Terry Funk and Bray Wyatt, rest in peace to both of them, came both
Back-to-back days.
back-to-back days and both very. I mean, I guess I wasn't familiar with Terry Funk's stuff, but Bray Wyatt's was still a
Very unexpected and
yeah,
sudden.
not publicly known.
Yeah, obviously, we just want to echo what Bo said. Rest in peace, Terry Funk and Wyndham Rotunda, a.k.a. Bray Wyatt, who we know him as. Yeah, obviously, the Funker was, I think, 89 years old. You know, that one certainly wasn't as shocking, but still, obviously, rippled through the wrestling world. I don't know how much, before we kind of dig into Bray Wyatt a little bit, because certainly you know him. What do you know about Terry Funk? I don't think we've seen any. Did we watch a Chainsaw Charlie match by chance?
No,
Because that was his like alter ego briefly.
I don't think so. I mean, I think like that name just looks like it's associated with something from that era of wrestling, you know? So like it just kind of seems to slot right into sort of my knowledge of it. But
yeah, I don't recall us watching any, unless it was like the 98 Royal Rumble, he was Chainsaw Charlie. And Mick Foley came in as Cactus Jack 1 and 2, and he had the chainsaw and they had weapons, so it was like a very unique, fun way to start a Rumble. So unless we had watched that, probably hadn't seen much Terry Funk.
No, I don't think I have. Like I said, I feel like I knew of him and knew that he was associated with wrestling.
Yeah,
that's the extent of it, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, he was, I think, from Amarillo, Texas.
Yeah, he was billed from there. I've got his
part of a legendary family. His father Dory, his brother Dory Jr. They were both big in like All Japan in the 70s and 80s, like early All Japan. And I've watched a match with those two tagging together.
Yeah.
Honestly, in the last 2-3 months, probably, and the crowd went fucking nuts.
Wow.
Like for these young American kids at that time. I think it was like 1976, and the crowd was going insane. So,
and it's crazy to look at like these pictures, because there's a picture of him with his brother Dory from 1973, and then with Pedro Morales and Dory Funk Sr. So that's his father, the one you just mentioned. And there are these grainy black and white photos. You know, it seems like that's just from like a far beyond era that like I don't think we've really touched on.
Yeah.
At least I don't know if these pictures have been done up at 1973 and
I mean my 70s wrestling knowledge and viewing is incredibly limited. You know, I know Funk initially from when he was Chainsaw Charlie, which was a very brief period, like late 97, early 98 WWE, but that's when I was watching as a kid. So of course I remember him there.
Yeah.
And then certainly over the years, you know, have gone back. He had a pretty legendary feud with Flair in 1989 in NWA/WCW. I actually watched. They have an awesome I Quit match from that feud that I recently watched after Terry passed away. Meltzer had given it 5 stars, which back then was obviously a bigger deal than it is today. But yeah, he turned on Flair like very dramatically after Flair had gotten the title back from Ricky Steamboat in their incredible rivalry, which 1989 was Ric Flair's year for sure. But then he went right into the feud with Terry Funk, and like I said, was a legend in Japan, death match guy, you know, did it all. He and Foley had like a exploding barbed wire death match in Japan in the mid 90s. So again, he was relevant for 3+ decades.
Yeah. So that's very impressive.
And I recently
like different iterations of, you know, because WWE or WWF as an organization, even in the 90s, was way different than I guess his first run with 85, 86. You know, like, I mean, he kind of was there for that whole ascendance.
And he was obviously he was never really like a WWE guy or a WCW. Like he was all over the place. And like I said, as big in Japan as anywhere. So, but yeah, we'll obviously this is the first time we've recorded in 3 weeks. We've been a little less frequent, but I think we've got some stuff we can be digging into here in the future.
Yeah, no, we definitely can. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting this back on more of a try to get more regularity with it. I know we've had just kind of a lot of just chaos and
our schedules, not aligning, which I'll have an update on that here in a bit. But But yeah, let's talk a little Bray Wyatt. I mean, obviously, this is a guy that, you know, I was, as a fan, had seen from the moment he came up until now. And, had such an incredible career, such a unique guy. I mean, people forget he started as Husky Harris.
Husky Harris.
Yeah, a horrible name, but, he obviously made the best of it. That was in when NXT was still almost like a game show type of deal.
Mm-hmm.
And they were paired with mentors, and his might have even been Cody, if I recall correctly.
Really? Wow.
But then, that kind of fizzled out. He's doing the Bray Wyatt thing, and it might have even been FCW still, but NXT. And I'd kind of only started hearing about it because I didn't really follow that. And then when they came up to the main roster, and you just see the video, the backwoods video, it's like season 1, fucking what's True Detective type vibes.
Yeah, that's sort of very Southern Gothic.
Yeah, culty backwoods, preachy, but again, it took
very,
on
very specific though, striking a very specific note. That is there, that is ingrained in kind of that Southern Gothic, kind of literature and just stuff, true to all that stuff. But yeah, you're right. It does kind of strike that very particular note.
Yeah, and it really just kind of took on a life of its own. The Wyatt family ended up forming with Eric Rowan and Luke Harper, also rest in peace. When I saw the picture, someone posting the picture of Wyatt and Harper together, it's man, this fucking sucks. I think they were both 36, I think, when they passed. Brody may have been a slightly older, but both with so much more to give. Both still, frankly, were in the prime of their careers. Brody Lee was doing the best work of his career, and Wyatt obviously had just come back, after a long time away, and really only had, I think there was just that one match, that Pitch Black match with LA Knight, the Mountain Dew Pitch Black, which
that he had since his comeback. Yeah,
they were obviously kind of taking their time with him. There was the whole rumor of they were doing, the Uncle Howdy thing was already happening, and they were kind of doing a Wyatt Family 2.0 that unfortunately we obviously never got to see. And he kind of went away for a while, and you didn't really hear anything. And I think I remembered seeing something that he'd had an illness or whatever, but I think everyone assumed he was going to come back at some point. And to get the news, I think Tom texted it on a group chat I'm on, because we were talking about Terry Funk the day before, and I was at work, and he said something like, "Holy shit, now Bray Wyatt," and I'm like, "What?" Then I Googled it. I'm oh my God.
Yeah.
Just shocking.
That's the one that's just pretty staggering, pretty surprising. And I know they said it was a COVID related thing too. So obviously something that's just kind of post 2020 kind of thing.
Yeah. I guess he had some sort of heart issues, got COVID, which exacerbated said heart issues. And regardless, it's terrible. And obviously, all the best to his family and friends and everyone. And just a tough situation. And interestingly enough, SmackDown, which I have not watched yet, I'm definitely going to watch, but have not had a chance to, was here in Louisville. And we had talked about going for a while and just never ended up happening, but sure would have been a great one to go to. And I'm, looking forward to watching the show, but I know it'll certainly be a tearjerker.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. Yeah, for sure.
But any final thoughts on Bray Wyatt or anything on that regard?
No, I mean rest in peace. And again, like I said, just for Bray Wyatt, I can't speak as much to Terry Funk, but Bray Wyatt just really great performer, just really distinct sense of identity. Just kind of like I said, just real unique, just kind of whole wrestling persona, and will be missed.
Yeah, he was as close as The Undertaker, I think, as we'd ever really gotten. I mean, a different vibe, but that kind of aura, the darkness,
dark, mystical, kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, rest in peace, Terry Funk and Bray Wyatt.
Indeed, rest in peace.
Okay, let's get into it. You want to mark 9:38?
Yep, putting it in on my notes here. 9:38. That might be our longest non-story cold open here.
I think it might be.
BBB 116. Ooh, not Q 116. 9 in around the 9-minute mark.
It's 9:38 ish, I think, is where.
No, we're just crossing the 9.5 minute threshold right now.
Oh, mine says 10:08 and counting currently.
Wow, yeah, no, mine's at 9:43. before.
That's strange.
Here, I'll just put a little squiggly line in the 9 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think you'll find it.
Yep. If not for that period of silence we just shared.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. 116, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Welcome to the Brain Buster Boys, episode 116. My name is Brett Jagger, along with the Jewel, Beaumont Rand.
Johnny Jewel. I don't know what the coughing is today. I think it's because, when I got home, it was a whirlwind because I took today off work just because I've had just a hell of a week. I guess this just kind of underscores just sort of what my life's been like lately. School's come back and I've had to work on Fridays, which are normally my like podcast days were the 2 others I edit. I kind of work on that. But since I've had to work those Fridays, it's pushed all that work to Saturday. So I've had to work like 4 or 5 hours on Saturday. And then Sunday, we have our wrestling show and I went out on Saturday. So, Saturday was action packed. Start off Sunday, action packed, all in, great. We go out to eat and then I still have podcast stuff to do. So after we leave O'Shea's, I like go and do work until like 10 or 11. So I got up this morning and my mom, I mentioned like that all this was going on to my mom, my boss in insurance. She was like, well, if you want to use a PTO day on Monday, let me know. And kind of like, as I was falling asleep, I was like, yeah, I'm going to do that. So I did. And just kind of came here and got classes planned and just kind of sat for a little bit and just kind of
a nice, call it a mental health day is always a nice little treat.
It is. And funny, so students now, I don't know if you knew that, like it's like Kentucky state law where students get 2 mental health days where you can just ask the student, be like, I'm taking one of my mental health days and you can just have a excused absence from school.
That's good.
Yeah, it is good.
I'm sure most of them probably aren't used for mental health.
Oh, yeah, I would imagine.
To have that, perk is a good thing.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, but yeah, it seems like that's a neat thing to have. I wonder if teachers have it, but we don't have subs at the iLead Academy. So we truck on through.
Son of a bitch.
Unless you have laryngitis or COVID, which I've had both separately in the past year. So whatever. All right.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Obviously, my schedule has been as shitty as always, but as you know, I quit my job. And I'm moving back to Northern Kentucky after a brief little 6-month sabbatical here in Louisville. Got a relationship that's going quite well.
Yeah,
up there, a month after moving down here. And as that was going better and the job was going worse, here we are.
Well, obviously you're going to be missed first and foremost. But second, just seeing you all hanging out yesterday, I'm really happy for you guys.
Thank you. Yeah,
you all seem to deeply enjoy each other's company and have fun.
Yeah, it is. Like I said, I want to give it a true shot where we're actually in the same city and see what happens. But so hopefully, I mean, obviously, the shitty part of this is having to find another job again and go through that whole rigmarole. As I've kind of been in that mode for the last year and a half plus, but. Obviously, I feel good about the decision, and it'll all work out at some point.
Yeah, I'm sure it will.
But hopefully, whatever job I get, the schedule won't be as bad, and we'll be able to align more for this and be more on a weekly basis. Because I think this is our second time it's been like a 3-week little hiatus.
No. This summer's definitely had its challenges with finishing the story.
Yeah.
With just kind of everything, which the story, just to give everyone an update, the script is finished. We just got to get people recorded. Like I said, it's just
2 more, right?
2 more.
Vince in the machine.
Yeah, that's right. So we just got a couple more of those, and then
it'll probably be either next week or the week after.
Depending on what kind of how the Labor Day situation shakes.
We'll obviously have All Out this weekend, which I don't think either of us will be watching live because I will likely be at Lake Cumberland, and I know you've got a fantasy football draft and other things.
Is that on Saturday or on Sunday?
I think it's Sunday.
Yeah, okay.
Which as of now, I think I'm planning on being at Cumberland Saturday and Sunday. So I would probably end up watching that Monday, and then maybe we could record sometime midweek. But in addition to that, I was thinking we could either do So I had, and we'll get a little more into this, I started or watched most of the original All In from 2018 in Chicago, which I was at and is one of the best live event experiences of my life.
Yeah.
And you have not seen that, correct?
No, I've have we watched maybe a match from it? I assume it's on YouTube, right?
I don't. It was at one point. Now it's on it because it was technically a Ring of Honor, like Ring of Honor production produced the show. It's on like the Ring of Honor app now. Can you hear Miles, by the way?
Yeah, I think I heard something. Some sort of
He's just yelping.
Yeah, some chirp in the background.
But obviously, a very, very important show to me. You know, the precursor to what we're going to be talking about here.
Yes.
So either that, or we could do some sort of Terry Funk, Bray Wyatt, attachment to All Out. But yeah, I know we've still got a Paul Heyman appreciation episode planned here in the future. So hopefully, like we said, we'll be a little more consistent here as we kind of get out of the summer months and cruise our way into fall and
figure it out. Yeah.
I guess let's talk about football season right around the corner. You're going to hear a little bit more about that in our Manscaped ad later on.
Oh, yeah. We have it's the fantasy. Is it football or fantasy? I forget what that is.
Yeah, fantasy football. But, I had my fantasy draft last weekend. Yours is this coming weekend. Obviously, college football, I guess, already kind of soft kicked off, but really what this upcoming weekend is kind of the first weekend, right?
Yeah, last weekend's like week 0,
which is bizarre.
Just
call it week 1.
Well, it is, and there's like hardly any games. Like they have that I don't think there's a ranked matchup. Like I'm surprised they stick something on there that would like draw.
Yeah, like something. But I'm guessing they probably still got decent ratings just because people are yearning for football. But
yeah.
Louisville's got their first game. Is it at home or at Georgia Tech?
No, it's in Atlanta. It's at the Falcon Stadium, so it's technically a GT home game. But yeah, it's at the Falcon Stadium instead of
that's Friday night. You said
it's Friday at 7:30.
Should be a fun season. Old Jack Plummer at the helm here.
Plummer, yeah, no, I'm pretty. This is the first time in a while I've been like actually legitimately just pretty generally overall excited and optimistic, and because
we got that butthead Scott Satterfield.
Oh God, yeah. Well, I'm like, I was thinking the last time we had a coaching change, it was off a 2-10 season, and then, I mean, hell, like Satterfield's
first year obviously was great.
Yeah, but it was a big surprise because everyone thought we'd be just as bad. We were picked to finish last in the ACC, so it didn't really, from a hype standpoint, get better than that. And I think that just really speaks to just the whole kind of Satterfield vibe around the program,
Thank you, University of Cincinnati.
Yeah, just all very mid. Yeah, I'm curious that like I'm definitely going to be tuning into some of their games this year to see how they do. I mean, obviously Big 12, see how that goes. That's going to be a big step up week to week. But yeah, we'll see. I think they're not projected very high either. I think they're pretty, obviously. What are they? I guess there are 14 teams this year with Oklahoma and Texas. So I think they're projected to be like 12th or 13th.
Is this the last year for those two teams?
Yeah, but then
I know it like reshuffles.
Yeah, the whole reshuffling I think really occurs next season.
I'm not too as into college sports as I used to, but obviously I know it's all going on, but I don't know who ended up where because it seems like everyone moved. And then I guess real quick, got to mention Cincinnati Bengals, Super Bowl or bust, baby.
Super Bowl or bust again.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say even more so this year. I mean, as we went through the whole Super Bowl run 2 years ago, obviously that was not a fluke, but kind of house money at that point, unexpected. Right. Last year, it's like, okay, we lose to the Chiefs in that heartbreaker, but now it's, offensive line's better. Pretty much everyone's back except our 2 starting safeties, which, they signed Nick Scott, and then Dax Hill was drafted first round the year prior. So, Burrow had that calf injury in preseason, but I don't think
where's he at now? I haven't kept up with it. I remember when that
happened. They've kept pretty quiet about it, but I mean, it seems like he's going to be just fine.
Ready for week 1.
Yeah, so going to be exciting. I'll be working all the home games again. I think we're at Pittsburgh week 1, which
are we starting the Steelers again?
Yeah, Pittsburgh. It was home last year when they surprisingly beat us, and at Pittsburgh, and then we've got Cleveland, the home opener, and then the Rams is Monday night at home. That's the first 3 games. Well,
it appears, at least from what I'm seeing here, Sunday, September the 10th. It's we're playing at the Browns.
Oh, Browns. I'm sorry. That's correct.
Yeah,
and then it's home. Is it?
Ravens.
So what's game 2 then? Ravens?
Home against the Ravens.
Okay.
Home against the LA Rams.
That's right. I knew it was 2 division teams, but yeah, I goofed on that there.
Yep, that's kind of where it is. So yeah, we play those 2 division teams, and then we play a bunch of the NFC.
It's a relatively soft early part of the schedule.
Yeah.
Especially getting Baltimore at home. Obviously that's not going to be an easy game, but then the Rams, Super Bowl rematch there at home Monday night.
Yeah, then
we ain't fucking losing that game.
Yeah, then at Tennessee, at Arizona, home against Seattle, at the 49ers, home against the Bills. And then kind of after that, the Chiefs are the second to last game again.
Mm-hmm.
And really, it's a very manageable schedule, I think. You know?
13-4, baby. Let's go.
Let's do it.
But yeah, definitely looking forward to that. And yeah, anything else before we dive into All In here?
No, that's about it. Go football.
Go football. And I got to mention, I'm wearing the shirt. Reds, still in the hunt here. I think they're game and a half out of the wild card. The Brewers have won 8 straight and have really kind of taken hold of the division. But, it's still been very, very fun, as we've kind of talked about on this program here. But they play the Giants tonight, so it's like a 9:30 start here. So I'll be watching that later on as I'm making din and whatnot. But and then I guess might as well mention FC Cincinnati had a hell of a game against Messi in Miami last week in the U.S. Open Cup semifinal. Jumped out to a 2-0 lead at home and ended up losing in PKs 3-3. Fortunately, we were very slow at work, and I got to watch almost the entire game, and it was awesome. An incredible game to watch. I don't know if you caught any highlights or anything, but it was pretty sweet. But then they got a nice MLS win last weekend, still in first place.
Okay, that's what I was about to ask. Are they still in first place?
Oh, yeah. In the league, it's going to be hard for anyone to take that 1 seed from them, or what they call the Supporters' Shield in MLS. Is like the regular season title, essentially. So, and then get a trophy for it.
And are the playoffs single elimination?
It is, yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
I think it's 8. It's either 8 teams per conference, I believe. So
it's like the NBA.
Yeah,
almost,
I think so. But yeah, fun stuff. Okay. All in London. From fucking Wembley is Maxwell's.
Yeah.
God, that was
screamed it at the top of his lungs. There were multiple F-bombs.
Yeah, he had multiple, I think, alone. And at the end when he was like, "You piece of shit, fuck you." But yeah, I don't remember the exact attendance figure, but I remember 81,000 and change. The most paid attendance ever for a wrestling show, which I'm sure will be topped by WWE when they have WrestleMania there in a couple years, which hasn't been announced. But you remember, was it SummerSlam or no? Money in the Bank was in London, and they trotted Cena out. And Vince, even though he's not truly running things, he ain't gonna let that record stand.
No. Well, especially that AEW is gonna double. I guess
spoiler back the next year,
doubling down on it. The next 2 years, or the next year, so 2 years in a row, So yeah, I think that's definitely gonna even add more fuel to the fire. So yeah, I think they're gonna be getting WrestleMania in London ASAP.
I think so too. But yeah, so we kick off. We'll just briefly talk about the pre-show here because obviously the first match had some stakes for the main event. Not actual stakes, but it's what's going to happen here?
Included the guys who were involved in the main event.
Yeah, and admittedly, we were both kind of dragging ass for the early part of the show.
We were.
But we definitely caught some life later on. But yeah, Aussie Open. Unfortunately, jobs out to MJF and Cole in 7 minutes when, what was very fun. I love those guys. I wish they would be getting treated with a little more respect, but I also get, why this is happening. But I was of the belief that, MJF and Cole losing this would create more tension for the main event. But with the direction it ultimately ended up going, I understand why they went this way. And I presume they're still going to be tagging together and defending those Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champs, at least in the near term here. So
yeah, probably. Oh,
it makes sense for them to win that. But I just, as a big Aussie Open fan, and in AEW, we haven't really gotten to see the best of them. It's just disappointing that they just won these titles and they lose it in 7 minutes on a fucking pre-show.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a little bummed out by that, but they'll be fine. They're great.
Yeah.
But yeah, highlight of the match, I think, was MJF hitting the kangaroo kick, which had been kind of built up in recent weeks. So that was fun. But yeah, I mean, you got anything to say on this?
Nothing real. I mean, like you said, it was kind of disappointing to see them just lose so quickly, but also surprising that MGF and Cole would kind of take it, which I guess makes sense considering how things ended up. That there's going to be kind of more story to that. But yeah, like I said, all told, I mean, a decent opener, but yeah, like almost too high of stakes for what the stage was.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely an interesting choice, putting them in the opening match and the closing match, but it's a good way to get eyes on the pre-show. It seemed like a pretty full crowd, even from this match. I mean, obviously people were still filing in, but man, I've remarked multiple times. It looked so awesome. Setup, it looked full. Everyone, you mentioned the fans like behind the hard cam were so like densely packed in.
And like you could kind of look backward and you could just like usually in sort of the head-on view, you can see the kind of fans that are on the floor, like kind of go back, but then you see the bleachers start, but you couldn't see where the bleachers started in Wembley. It was just people standing.
Yeah, and obviously a very hot crowd all night. They popped big for the kangaroo kick here, but I mean, we'll talk more about it after the main event, but will be interesting to see what MJF and Cole, either together or separately, are doing it All Out, because as we stand right now, neither of them have a match yet. I think there's been like 5 announced matches, and we'll get to it. But yeah, I don't know if they'll be defending the ROH tag titles. If I doubt they're going to do a rematch here, with these two.
Yeah,
with the way it ended up, there's clearly more fuel in this story, and I'm here for it.
That exists on like a weekly TV basis.
Yes.
Not something that's going to be something's going to happen here, and then the next pay-per-view, like the opposite thing happens, or there's a big twist. I think it still has time to simmer. For sure. On television. So.
Absolutely, and it's been riveting. I think and the main event kept us fucking guessing. So yeah, good stuff. I, for one, thought it would go a different way, but I'm happy that it's continuing because I think there's still more juice to squeeze here. So,
oh yeah, for sure.
And then in the other match, we had Hook defeating Jack Perry to regain the FTW championship. But the story coming out of here, which we did not discuss yesterday, and I don't know if you have seen, there was a backstage incident between Jack Perry
and
CM Punk. Big shock.
Yeah.
What an asshole. I mean, I'm sure Perry probably, there's conflicting reports. I don't want to get too into it. I'm not saying Jack Perry did nothing. But it's just the fact that the shit just keeps happening with CM Punk. Whatever it is, it keeps happening. And it's fucking ripping this company apart. And I fucking hate it. So, yeah.
And what are the kind of intricacies of what happened with it?
There's multiple sides of the story. So what it really boils down to, there's a report that came out a week or two ago on a recent episode of Collision. I guess there was a spot that Jack Perry wanted to do with glass, and he wanted to use real glass, and Punk basically said, like, no, keep that shit on Wednesdays or something like that.
Yeah.
And you remember how they slammed each other on the car windshield in this match. I didn't catch it live, but I guess he turned to the camera and said something about it being real glass.
Yeah.
So then obviously directly a shot at Punk. So apparently after the match, there was some sort of scuffle. And remember, Punk led off the show. So there was only 10-ish minutes in between the end of Perry's match and the opener. So it apparently happened in that span of time, to the point where they were almost going to have to reshuffle the card. But words were exchanged. Sounds like maybe Punk put him in a headlock, and then it kind of fizzled from there. There was someone said punches were thrown. Someone said they weren't. who gives a fuck? Like I said, I just hate that this shit keeps happening. And it's just not good for the long-term health of this company. And
no.
I
Especially
still love
that like CM Punk's like still around and is featured on the main TV show
and can pretty much do whatever he wants. I mean, it sounds like he's got a lot of power on that show and how that show plays out. So it's just unfortunate. I mean, I still love AEW, but it is a far cry from where it was 2 years ago at this point. And we've talked about it. I just think the purity is gone. The soul has been sucked out, and it's just hard when you have a clear fucking division here.
Yeah.
I think that's what made it so great from the get-go is like it was kind of like a family and everyone's in this together and it's a new thing and you're, fighting to be the best. And I don't know. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But with that, we'll go to the main.
Yeah, let's go to it. Which
had Phil Brooks, CM Punk defeat Samoa Joe for what they're calling the real AEW World Championship. But what I call it on my spreadsheet is some bullshit fake belt.
Yeah.
So Punk wins in 13:58. Again, guy's still a heck of a wrestler. Right. I mean, I'm not going to take that away from him. He's had some, his first comeback had some incredible matches. This go-round's had some very solid stuff. So I'm not taking anything away from CM Punk, the wrestler. I really enjoyed this match, largely because of Samoa Joe. I thought Samoa Joe was amazing. He really
worked the crowd really well.
Yeah, he was definitely treated as the babyface here.
Yeah.
He did his classic like walk away spot multiple times when Punk tried to drop, and he'd just kind of give like 2 steps gingerly and walk away.
Yeah.
I mean, he really took it to him for like the first half of this match, threw him through like the lower part of the announce table, which then he came up all bloody, which was obviously kind of the theme there. But no, I thought Joe was awesome here. Punk obviously was, pretty good himself. Hit the big Pepsi plunge. I can't remember if it was middle rope or top rope to get the win.
Yeah.
But, he's a good wrestler, great seller. He's good storyteller in the ring. I just wish the backstage and side bullshit wasn't happening and I could enjoy it more. But thought this was a good opener for the show, though. And all credit to Sweet Tooth Samoa Joe, which I mentioned to you off air, Twisted Metal. Good show.
Good show. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Good on
I recommend it.
Yeah. No, this is an entertaining starting match. I think it played to both of their strengths pretty well. Or interesting opener starter match. It's not like an app. It's not a tizer. Not a tizer.
Yeah, I guess the pre-show would be the tizers.
It would be the tizer. Yeah, no, this would be like the salad.
Yeah,
the salad that comes out. But yeah, no, I thought this was a pretty solid opener. Played to both their strings. CM Punk got all bloody. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it like really was just something that just kind of played to to who both of those guys just are in ring, in character wise. So no, I was entertained. Like I said, it wasn't like a barn burner by any means. Which and I'll say this about this show, this show didn't really have anything that was the FTR and the Young Bucks was pretty epic, I thought. MJF and Cole dramatically was epic, but it didn't really have a lot of stuff. It had a lot of stuff that was good to great.
No match of the year candidates.
Yeah, no match of the year candidates. Nothing that was just beyond mind blowing epic.
I agree.
This just kind of fit that. It was a solid starter, but yeah, it wasn't anything insanely.
Yeah. My highest rated match, I had the main event at 4 3/4, and that was largely for the storytelling and drama. The in-ring work was very good, but yeah, like you said, I think the best wrestling match was FTR and Young Bucks, which I went 4.5 on that. But that one that was where and we'll talk about it, but that's when I was feeling my most tired at the beginning of that match, and then it really kicked into gear and was amazing. But I agree. Yeah, the match quality on this show, good to great, but nothing out of this world.
Yeah, nothing out of
over a very, very fun show.
Well, and you would think that not to skip too far ahead, but you have Will Ospreay on your card, and it's he's fighting Jericho, and that's not gonna get as high level as Will Ospreay can get. And I mean,
it's Kenny Omega, for example,
Kenny Omega, or someone like that. And so whenever you use him like that. It's a good match in terms of just prestige, I guess. But when it comes to in-ring stuff, it's you could have something that's transcendent if you put him against, I mean, who else could he go up against besides Kenny? That would be like
CM Punk. That could be interesting. MJF.
Yeah.
Obviously, they both, they had shit going on. But yeah, there are other more marquee opponents, but still ended up a heck of a match. But to your point, I think this next match accentuates that even more. The fact that Kenny Omega is in the second match in the card in a trios match. Granted, a loaded trios match it was, but it's fucking Kenny Omega. Why is he in the second match on this card and not fighting Okada or Punk or some sort of, why not Takeshita here in the singles match? Like, that's a match I'm especially clamoring for, especially given that Kenny kind of helped train him in DDT a decade ago,
right?
Which I don't know if you saw, that has been made official for All Out. So that is very exciting. But yeah, so match 2, we had Jay White, Juice Robinson, and Konosuke Takeshita defeating the Golden Elite team of Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi, and Hangman Adam Page. Another, again, very fun, fast-paced, chaotic, kind of abandoning the rules match, which pisses a lot of people off. I mean, I wish it could be a little better, but it doesn't bother me too much because the action was really good. I thought Juice Robinson was a fucking star in this match, just with his reactions as much as anything. He was just hooting and hollering. His look, he came out like a dog, basically, like on all fours. Like, the man has taken his spotlight and is running with it, and I'm very happy about it because I've always thought he was very underrated. But a lot of interesting pieces and history in this match with Jay White and Kota Ibushi having a legendary feud. Obviously, the Kenny Takeshita piece. Ibushi was also at DDT when Takeshita was coming up, so there's that as well. Juice and Kenny have history over the U.S. title. Hangman, not really much specifically with any guy, but has mixed it up with all of them. But ends up with a bit of a surprise roll-up from Takeshita onto Kenny, which ultimately sets up that match after Kenny hit some insane V triggers like right before that. I mean, it got pretty nutty towards the end here, but I remember I think on Juice and Jay both, just massive fucking V triggers at the end. But Takeshita gets the sneaky pin here, which, makes a lot of sense, of course. But very chaotic match, but I love all these guys and I had a blast. What about you?
And I'll say this, it's like it had that blend of ingredients. It had the story necessity of like getting Kenny and Takeshita to like be pitted against each other. It was like, like, did you ever make what were called, I don't think they call them these anymore, suicide drinks?
Oh yeah.
Suicide.
Where you go down the line and put every drink in your cup.
This was like a suicide drink if it were good. If it like actually tasted good.
So I'll tell you what is a good suicide: the White Claw suicide.
Oh, really? What was that?
Well, so when White Claw first became a thing, it was just that original like 4-pack of flavors. I think it was lime, grapefruit, black cherry, one other, but we mixed them all together, and it actually was very good. This was like years ago, but the White Claw suicide, baby.
But I will also say this to the inverse: was this match? Like, was this match equal to the, god damn it, what's the saying? More than
equal to the sum of its parts?
Yeah, equal or more to the sum of its parts. I don't know about that. I would almost say like perhaps the end result was like a little bit less.
Yeah, maybe.
Parts, but like, not, like I said, not that type of transcendent thing you would expect when you get all these guys together.
I think it could have been placed in a better spot on the card too, to be honest. I mean, yeah, it's a loaded show, but I remember I was like, whoa, they're doing this match now just because, it's a pretty big match. But yeah, that's a good point. I mean, and again, given that the star power in this match, I mean, Hangman is a guy that's kind of unfortunately faded to the background a little bit, this summer, which, we know what he can do. Jay and Juice had those epic matches with FTR on Collision. They're kind of still getting their footing, which I like. They're really pushing Takeshita, which I fucking love. So could this have been better? Yeah, but I still enjoyed it. You mean Ibushi, I talked about him last time. He did not look great. He looked a little better here, but he's still just nowhere near, what he was 2018, 19, 20, well before that too. I mean, ring rust, obviously. He hadn't wrestled in well over a year and just getting back into shape, but I'm still fucking happy to see him. But again, he wasn't really like that big of a factor here.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see, does he continue having matches in AEW? Because, I want to see him get better and better. But good point, though. Like, I think this could have been better, but I personally still really enjoyed it because I like all these guys. But good stuff, though.
Agreed. Also, did you know, what is this Wrestle Dream thing?
Oh, yeah. So
Wrestle Dream, yeah. Was
he
that
announced that after the show? Yeah, they're having yet another pay-per-view, which I guess it'll be 7 this year.
Yeah, October the 1st. I saw that because I was pulling up the Wikipedia of it just to kind of get everything in front of me for this, and I saw it was like next pay-per-view, All Out, and then next Wrestle Dream. And I was like, what?
October 1st, I think.
October 1st, in
Seattle. So it's an homage to Antonio Inoki, the founder of New Japan, who I guess passed last year on October 1st.
Yeah, that's that show, I think.
Yeah, so Tony Khan announced it after the show. Nothing really. He's like, I want New Japan wrestlers to participate. So
it's another Forbidden Door, or it's just kind of
I mean, it's again. I mentioned the whole purity thing and what. Like, I loved the whole 4 pay-per-views because all of them felt that much more important, and now we're starting to get a little diluted here.
Yeah. And it broke up the story pretty well, like quarterly, and now that it's you're getting a lot more. Yeah, I think it does kind of de-emphasize.
Yeah, like we'll have 4 and 5 months
with,
or I guess 5 and 6 months. Double or Nothing May, Forbidden Door June, All In August, All Out fucking September, Wrestle Dream. So it's 6 and 7 months. Wrestle Dream October, Full Gear. So 6 and 7 months, if you really look at it like that.
Right.
From May through November. The only month they didn't have one is July.
Yeah.
Which I'm not complaining. I mean, there's still probably going to be a lot of good shit. But it's muddying the waters a little bit.
Yeah, well, and I mean, the one that has the biggest gap is between Revolution and Double or Nothing, because that's like, I don't know what's the longest. No, like Full Gear. It's from Full Gear to Revolution, right? Because Revolution's in like March.
Yeah, usually like early March, and Full Gear is like mid-November.
Yeah, so that's that's where the biggest swath is.
So we'll see if they try and squeeze another one in that time period.
Yeah, we will see. But Wrestle Dream. Huh.
Yeah, we shall see. But yes, next is the AEW World Tag Team Championships, which saw FTR defeat the Young Bucks to retain in 21 minutes 46 seconds. And we talked about this earlier. I was starting to feel pretty tired at this point, but once these guys got going, it was a bad start, just they had their typical back and forth and took a little time, but this was awesome at the end. Multiple finisher kickouts. It's one of those matches when once they get to that point, it's like, all right, anything can happen here. And even coming in, like, we didn't really make picks. I would have picked FTR, but this one truly could have gone either way. And FTR does get the job done. But, just another very, very fun, great match between two of the best tag teams to ever do it. Callbacks to the original match.
Yeah.
But, this was just great stuff here.
Tons of callbacks. Because this is one I kind of rewatched today.
Okay.
Like this one's like, tons of callbacks to the original match. There's such reverence in commentary for this. Reverence and the reverence almost like validated the hyperbole, because I know there's always hyperbole, when they're talking about this is the greatest tag team match ever, And like, like the reverence for it, at least, like, I don't know, it set like a good tone, because like, no, this isn't the best tag team match ever, like not even in AEW, but like still, this was like just what you would come to expect, just excellent shit. And especially after you get past that back and forth and things get into that sort of more slowed down dramatic form, that's when it was excellent. Each team doing the other one's super move and stuff like that.
Great counters. The FTR kissing the cheeks of whichever young Bucket which was obviously their thing. And I think the big callback was Cash going for the 450 and getting super kicked, which is how that first match ended. Full Gear 2020, your first show. But yeah, anything, I didn't rewatch anything, but anything else kind of stick out to you from this?
Not particularly. I mean, I thought it was just, an extremely exciting match. And whenever things kind of got down there at the end, like this is a really good just play on things where you just kind of didn't really know. But yeah, I'm glad ultimately FTR took it home. I think that's a little bit more fitting than the Young Bucks winning it the third time. I mean, this was truly a battle for like the king of tag teams in AEW, which is something that is like they've hung their head on very much like during their whole time here. And I think this match, for being sort of a seminal moment in the history of AEW tag teams, in the short but great history of it, really, really met the moment, I thought.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm happy FTR won because, we've talked. They had that incredible year last year, never won the AEW tag titles, but seemingly won every other.
They're always kind of like around sort of it. But yeah.
But for them to get this, more extended run, because I think their first reign was like 80 days or something or maybe even less than
that. The Bucks again?
Yeah, so it was that Full Gear 2020. That was when the Bucks took it from FTR. FTR had taken it from Hangman and Kenny, who were the second tag champs. So FTR was the third tag champs. So, they've definitely had it now for a few months at this point. So,
so we got comments on here. Oh, and I've just had the comments off. Oh wow, this is our first one, gentlemen.
Who the fuck are you?
Who the fuck are you?
I think that was a typo. H5T. High five, Tom. How the fuck are you, brother?
Yes,
we
sir.
love you.
We love you.
Yeah, I had them all. I didn't realize I was under private chat. So
no, I saw that too, and I was just like, I saw a 1 by the comments. I was like, wait a minute. I hope
we haven't been live in a while. We haven't recorded in a while, but it's been even longer since we've been live. So thanks for tuning in, Tommy, and anyone else out there. So, but yes, good stuff here. So then we go to the fucking car crash of a match, Stadium Stampede, which at this point, Stadium Stampede and Anarchy in the Arena are the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, this was a lot more like Anarchy in the Arena, though.
Exactly. That's how this, which we just saw at Double or Nothing, but another, fun installment here, which saw the team of Eddie Kingston, Orange Cassidy, Penta, and the Best Friends defeat the BCC, Mike Santana, and Ortiz, making their return, specifically Santana, who'd been out for well over a year. This was an absolute fuck fest. It was crazy. Mm-hmm. There were some botches, falling off ladders, etc. But man, I had a blast watching this, and I think this is what really kind of got our juices flowing again. Yes. Really, like I said, the end of that previous tag match and then into this, I was feeling pretty damn good the rest of the way here. But I don't like that the Blackpool Combat Club seems to lose more than they win, and they're these tough bastards that, only give a shit about fighting and killing you and making you bleed. And, they come out with the cool outfits with the trench coats and the black gloves and the sunglasses. But yet again, and I don't want to, I'm not ripping on Orange Cassidy because I love Orange Cassidy and he's been so great, but I'm kind of getting a little tired of it here.
Yeah,
getting a little tired of it here.
I mean, like he's just had that All-Atlantic, it's just kind of been static for a while. And I think, you got to kind of change it up. And he does fun, stable stuff. But yeah, I think it's time to change it up because that title was very legitimizing for him. And I mean, even before that, he had that pay-per-view triple threat with him and Christian and Kenny.
So it was him, Kenny, and Pac.
Kenny, and Pac. Gotcha. Yeah. So they had that. But
which is awesome. And that was kind of his first like springboard moment into like let's call it the main event picture. I mean, he's not like a full throttle main eventer, but he's right there.
But I feel like even after this title, he still isn't like really like in that tier yet, or and still would take a little bit. There's still more stuff for his character to do to like get to that point, I think.
Yeah, and it's just gotten a little
serious contender.
Gotten a little stale for me personally. I mean, his singles matches, a lot of them kind of follow the same formula. I mean, credit to him because, I mean, he's certainly gone so far above and beyond the simple comedy character he was when he came in. But all that's to say, he gets the pinfall here. I think it was on Claudio. You know, he had gotten the bucket and the bottle, and he taped his fist and punched it and broke the glass, which was a very cool spot. Like, that's not something I can remember seeing. And then he has the tape, you know, the glass attached to the tape. Yeah, it was Claudio. I just looked. Yeah. You know, and it took him a few minutes, like, after he did that, because then I think he got fucked up a couple times, but then he finally did land the orange punch. Cool moment with Kingston, who was kind of fighting, you know, in the crowd for a while, and then all of a sudden he showed back up, blood in his face, marching down the aisle with the barbed wire chair and just going straight for Claudio, as he did right when the match began. Can't wait for that again. You know, they had the match, Ring of Honor title match earlier this year, which I believe Kingston has got to be the one to take that belt off him. But yeah, some cool moments in this match. Like I said, it was just highly, highly entertaining, highly bloody, so much plunder, weapons. We had a fucking character change mid-match with Penta Oscuro, which was very bizarre.
Which I love how they called him the darker version of Penta, and it's like,
and he was just wearing red.
He's wearing a lighter color.
Yeah, he came out wearing the black and white and changed to red.
Yeah. So I would not think that's the darker. I would think that's like the angry Penta.
Yeah.
You know? Like the angry bull, you know, like whenever you like beat up an enemy in like Mario and they're down to like their last like life, when like you always got to jump on them 3 times. You jump on them twice, and then they turn red and they start moving really fast. Yeah, that's Penta Obscuro right there.
Speaking of which, I watched Mario last night.
Was it good? Oh yeah,
it was tight. Yeah,
it was tight.
Very fun watch for sure.
It's a fun watch. Yeah.
But yeah, this was what it was. You know, we're used to this type of shit with the Blackpool Combat Club. You know, they always kind of mix in some different wrinkles. Oh, we had Sue coming out in the van and Moxley fucking kissing her. That was very funny.
Yeah. So who's Sue's mom again? Like
Trent Beretta's mom.
Beretta's mom. Okay, yeah.
Because in the OG like COVID era of Daly's Place, like that's when she first like showed up in the van, and it's been, you know, somewhat of a consistent thing. She was at the parking lot brawl they had on Rampage a few weeks ago. So, but yeah, Moxley leans in to kiss her, which I loved, and then she handed out some cookie sheets that actually had cookies on them.
Yeah.
But another just fun moment in what was a, you know, just crazy, chaotic, insane match that I wish the Blackpool Combat Club would have won, because what does Orange Cassidy gain by pinning Claudio? I mean, is he going to challenge for the Ring of Honor title now? Like, do we really need, like, Claudio and Kingston is its own thing. Now weirdly, they're having a match on Dynamite with Orange defending the international title against Penta, and then the winner faces Moxley at All Out. I feel like it should be Mox versus Penta.
Yeah.
In a number 1 contenders match, and then the winner faces the champion.
Right.
So, I mean, I presume this will be Moxley Orange, which will be awesome. We haven't seen that as a singles match. And if Moxley does not walk out as international champion, I'm going to have a bit of a problem with that.
Yeah.
Would you agree? I mean, you know, he's defended it, 25 times or whatever.
Yeah. Probably more than that. Probably in the 30s now. I mean, it has
probably
to be
close.
Yeah.
I mean, he hasn't been defending it as much of late, I don't believe.
Yeah.
Like in the last month or so. But I mean, Mox is Mox. You know, he is one of the top stars in the company, multi-time world champ. Like, I'd be happy to see him get that belt and, you know, kind of see what he can do with it. And, you know, it really will continue to kind of mean something. Like,
and the championships don't have a belt, and there's no belt in that stable, right?
Just Claudio, the ROH.
Yeah. So yeah, I think they could use something else like that, you know, especially if they're taking L's and pay-per-views and stuff like that. Could use that.
Because they've lost both the last. I can't remember if they won Anarchy in the arena, but then they lost Blood and Guts and they lost this match. So but yeah, so it's nice to see Santana and Ortiz. That's for sure. I mean, Ortiz is someone we've seen a little more recently, but like I said, Mike Santana, been out for a while, so it's good to see him. And I forgot, Tom said Orange Cassidy going all Jean-Claude Van Damme there for a moment with the taped glass hands.
There you go.
But yeah, fun stuff overall for sure. Okay, next. We will rock you. We have the AEW Women's Championship 4-way, in which Saraya defeats Hikaru Shida, Britt Baker, and Toni Storm in 8 minutes 43 seconds. Short match, but fun for what it was. I mean, I thought this was solid. Obviously, Saraya comes out to We Will Rock You with her whole family. Great moment for her. Toni Storm mistakenly socks her mom in the front row, which added some fuel to this match. Ruby Soho comes out saying, "Don't hurt Saraya's neck," and then Toni clocks her.
Yeah.
So definitely some shit going down with the Outcasts, which I'm happy because, boy, has that been stale.
Yeah, for real.
It's a shame to see Shida drop the belt immediately, but I think I said it yesterday. I'm like, I think that's just so, Saraya could win it and didn't have to beat her stablemate Toni Storm for it. And it seems like now that may potentially be a rivalry at some point. I mean, I could see them kind of slow burning to this, but I think this was pretty obvious that, especially given the entrance Saraya got and getting her family involved in the match, and that she was going to win. And I'm very happy for her. I mean, like I said, when we were watching it yesterday, it's like, I'm sure she never would have dreamed a few years ago that anything like this could have happened.
Yeah, that she let alone be back in wrestling.
Exactly. Let alone in front of 81,000 of her countrymen and women and winning the AEW World Championship.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
Good for her, and at least some potential intrigue here with the Outcasts. So, Britt Baker said something about like the stale women's division, in her promo. So get better. Let's be better. Come on. Okay. Coffin match.
Yes.
Bobby and Sting defeat Christian Cage and Swerve Strickland in 1550. Sting now 18-0 in AEW as a 64-year-old man.
And he needs to go out on top, like take a, because when was that that Bash at the Beach? No, was it Bash at the Beach? No, it wasn't Bash at the Beach. The last WCW Monday Nitro.
Oh, it was like it's 2000.
Did he lose to Ric Flair?
I think he won.
Did he win?
They were in the last match. I'm pretty sure he tapped out Flair, but I can't remember for sure.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I'm wondering, I'm like, does he like when does he go out? Because it's got to be soon.
Yeah, and does he lose? At all?
Mm-hmm.
If he's 18-0, I mean, and I said it yesterday. His run has far exceeded the low expectations I and probably a lot of other people had. Yep. He has done some crazy shit, some crazy bumps. He's been very entertaining largely. He doesn't look 64, but he definitely is showing his age. But
yeah, and it's
got to be soon.
Whether they be in a cinematic match or something like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
But again, this was, I thought, a very good match. Nothing to write home about, but very fun. Some hard bumps on the coffin. Christian taping Darby's hands behind his backs. The ending with Sting initially being trapped in the casket or coffin and getting the bat out.
And then Swerve. I'm gonna go ahead.
Getting his hand out, Sting smashing it, and then eventually they get him in there. I don't even remember.
But his hair was sticking out.
And his hair was sticking out.
Sticking out, yeah, and they called it, which was funny.
So the match is still not over, in my opinion. But
never will be.
But again, I think we all knew who was winning this, which I think takes away a little bit from these matches because Sting has yet to lose. So I kind of wish he would have lost one at some point just to like build some level of doubt. But
I agree.
But that has yet to happen and probably won't happen. But
I doubt it too. But this was pretty easy to predict, and definitely something that like without it being a coffin match could have been like pre-show material. Yeah, but, like add the gimmick to it, and then you got something.
And credit to Christian for his cutoff turtleneck. Yeah, it's just so great.
Well, the entrances were all pretty bomb. Here you have the Darby Sting one. You had Prince Nana.
Prince Nana was a
during
that entrance.
We were really jazzed at this point,
dancing around. Yeah, like the guys he's coming out. Oh, because they had like the rappers doing Swerve's song. And like everyone's all stoic, and then Prince Nana just dancing around like a buffoon, which was awesome.
Yes,
that guy rules. Yeah, I don't really have too much else to say.
No,
about
not too
this.
much else. Like I said, it was a fun match, but yeah, wasn't like the most big time consequential thing.
Yeah.
Like you could have easily swapped this with the Kenny Omega and the Bullet Club.
Totally agree.
Totally.
Totally
Yeah,
agree.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think this would have been a much better spot for it. Because I think the women's match and this match were the two weakest, and the trios match as well. Those were the three that I didn't have. I had everything else at 4+ stars other than those three. So yeah, I agree. I think this would have been a much better spot for the Kenny match. So
right.
But next, and we were talking about it earlier, Will Ospreay defeats Chris Jericho in 14 minutes, 56 seconds. And I think, credit to Jericho. Obviously Ospreay certainly carried him to a large degree, but I thought Jericho looked pretty good. He's talked a lot about his in-ring work being very up and down over the past couple of years, but I think he brought it here. Not in the song, though. I thought the performance of Judas, I thought, was pretty weak.
Yeah. Well, and it sounded like he was like someone singing karaoke for his band. Like, it didn't seem like he was up to like having to walk out and do an entrance.
Yeah, he wasn't really. He didn't have much energy in his voice either, which was strange. Like you'd think he would have fucking brought it.
Yeah, he would have brought it. Yeah, but it just kind of sounded like someone who was just kind of panicking. They let the crowd kind of buoy it a little bit.
Mailing it in a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
But I thought the match was really good. I mean, Jericho kicked out of a Stormbreaker, which was certainly a big deal. I don't remember any. Pulling up a fucking recap here. Yeah. But I just thought the chemistry was pretty good here. Jericho wasn't really showing his age too badly. He did look kind of bad when he hit the Os Cutter, was a little sloppy, but then Will kicked out at one anyway, and you just forget about it immediately.
Yeah.
Jericho hit the Judas effect. Ospreay kicked out at 2. Ospreay's hidden blade is very much a similar move. He had missed it a couple of times and got him fucking right in the face at the end before the second Stormbreaker for the win.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this met and maybe slightly exceeded expectations. I went 4.25 on the match, but like you said earlier, could have been a much. Well, I think this is a marquee match.
It is. No, it is a marquee match.
From an in-ring, star rating, match quality standpoint.
And if it were Chris Jericho versus somebody who isn't at the point in their career, isn't at the zenith that Will Ospreay is at, where it's all of his matches are just the biggest, most epic, high-flying thing. And then, you have Jericho, and it's it would be bigger if it were Jericho versus, I don't know, just someone who's kind of a little bit closer to him in terms of athletic ability at this point in his career.
Well, when here's an example. When Jericho wrestled Tomohiro Ishii last year on Dynamite, I don't remember if you caught that one, but it was like a brawl. Ishii is not he is a grounded. He's going to fucking punch you. He's going to keep fighting. And it was an awesome match. Jericho got his chest busted open from chops. But I get what you're saying, but it kind of let Ospreay shine, to show how great he is too. Because, like I said, he certainly carried this match. But I think Jericho did very well.
He did, yeah. No, I thought he did very well, yeah, considering the spot. But yeah, it just kind of. I don't think this match had too high of a ceiling, considering Will Ospreay was in it. So I think that's just kind of a little odd.
Wait, what do you mean by that?
I guess he didn't really that
it only. I think
Jericho being in it just kind of limited to what I don't know, Will Ospreay could do with somebody else.
Yeah, for sure. But the short 2-week build. I know you watched Dynamite. The promo by Ospreay was great.
Promo,
Jericho's promo was great. But I guess let's talk about it. I know you obviously don't follow New Japan closely, but Ospreay's contract is up in February. A lot of speculation that he's going to sign with AEW, with how much, they've been using him, a decent amount here for some of the big shows. I don't want it to happen at all because, I think there's a lot left for him to still accomplish in New Japan. Mm-hmm. He still needs to get the big Tokyo Dome win over Okada. He won the world championship, but had to vacate it early in 21 due to an injury. Hasn't gotten it back since. So selfishly, I would like to see him stay in New Japan at least a little longer, but
yeah.
He's been on record saying he doesn't want to live in America. But, man, I mean, with that promo he cut last week, it just seems like it might happen.
Yeah,
but
and like, do you
not
think
that I'm going to be mad about it. I just would rather still see him in New Japan.
Well, I mean, he's either going to stay there. I mean, what else you're going to go to AEW or WWE? Those are the two directions. And I don't know if the dude's ever going to want to go to like the WWE guy.
I don't think so. And I mean, Aussie Open is part of his stable. They're over, like, he's the one who basically brought them to New Japan. So, like, they're really tight. So it's certainly a natural fit. But yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting.
Yes.
And JCP pops in with a bye Will. I'm not convinced yet that it's for sure happening, but the signs are definitely pointing that direction at this point. But let's see what happens. We'll see who he gets into a program with for Wrestle Kingdom. Could be Kenny again. I think it might be, kind of close the book on that trilogy like in a year. That definitely makes a lot of sense, but we shall see. All right, final two matches. Yes. A bit of a surprise here. We saw the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass defeat the House of Black in 10 minutes, 4 seconds to win the AEW World Trios Championships. I loved the House of Black entrance, gear, all of it. Brody King with some blood on his head, kind of mixed perfectly with the white face paint. I thought he looked awesome. But yeah, the match was fine. It wasn't anything special. It was in that kind of popcorn spot, so to speak. Fun moment to have the Acclaimed out there, with the what were they saying again? It was like a Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, Jeffrey Epstein joke, which like made me just be like, oh, it said something about a bigger disgrace or bigger embarrassment than Prince Andrew.
Yeah.
So yeah, which is a Jeffrey Epstein joke, I think. I mean, someone else fill me in the context, but that's what it is.
Yeah, I don't know either, but yeah. But just, you'd mentioned of late that, like, obviously they've lost a lot of steam since their tag title run last year. So just good to see them back on the big stage doing what they do.
Yeah.
I mean, Billy Gunn's Billy Gunn. He's big. He's old, but still cool to see him out there, I guess. But
yeah, and I mean, this is a great comp. I mean, the three of them, AEW should milk that.
Saved the scissor me daddy ass until after the match. Because, we were both like, what the hell? I know they hadn't done it once, like when Billy Gunn wasn't there, but obviously he was. It's like you think and there were tons of scissors in the crowd and like the scissor foam hand things as well. So Acclaimed are still over as hell. That's for sure.
Yeah, they are. But, I mean, this is a big win too. I mean, House of Black, Malachi Black finally sort of, after like being woefully misused during his early tenure in AEW, finally gets footing.
But it still kind of just ends a little abruptly for me. I mean, they've been on Collision, which I don't watch every week, but them beating the Elite for the trios titles is obviously a big deal, but the run wasn't really like anything special. But yeah, I'm happy, he got a title and everything, but I think, again, there could have been a lot more that happened here. So we'll see. I mean, I would still like to see Malachi get some better footing here, so to speak.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think that'd be better. But yeah, like I said, it was a pretty good average popcorn match,
Yeah.
Probably a weird popcorn match considering like, that both of these people, like wrestlers have big entrances. The House of Black has this off the lights. And then the Acclaim have the rap that everyone gets into. So usually that pizzazz is like not popcorn match.
Pizzazz.
Yeah, pizzazz.
Zazz.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Main event time. They had us guessing. It was back and forth and all over the place. And will MJF use the ring? Will Cole use the belt? Who's going to turn on who? Is the kingdom reforming? Not quite yet, as MJF defeats Adam Cole in 27 minutes, 30 seconds. After a brief stoppage due to a double pin in which the match was called a draw. And I know you didn't watch their first match, which ended in a 30-minute draw, which was a better match than this. But, I mean, I think all the elements here probably made this a little more exciting. But I love that match. I went 4 3/4 on both of them. But similarly, that one ended in a 30-minute draw because that was the time limit. Cole had asked for 5 more minutes. MJF said no. Same thing happens here as Cole's kind of, being more the heel the entire match here, more aggressive. It's like the double pin thing happens. I'm like, surely there's no way this is going to end like this.
End like this. And like the crowd began to boo, they couldn't.
So similarly, Cole's like, Max, 5 more minutes. And such an incredible moment. I said it from the jump. And he's like, no, we're going till there's a winner in fucking Wembley.
Yeah.
I just loved so much.
Yeah.
And then they keep going. Immediately, both go for roll-ups and hold the tights. And again, this is the period where the ref gets knocked out. I think Adam Cole hit him with the Panama Sunrise after MJF moved. MJF first pulls out the ring. And again, this is what made this match so great, is you really didn't know what was going to happen.
No, and and the story stuff was never like predictable.
No, it still isn't.
It subverted expectations in all these little areas, to where like it wasn't like super obvious, just a super obvious the opposite happened of what normally happened, but like just dramatically, just the way things went down were just unexpected and unique and interesting.
Yeah.
And,
to the point. Oh, go ahead.
No, yeah, and for this too, it's like this match just with the story, like to go back to more than the sum of its parts. This is what it felt to me like this match, even though MJF and Cole are real heavyweights in AEW, just real like 2 of the top guys. But like, you don't think of MJF when you think of like the best in-ring performers in AEW. MJF's kind of more of a character. His in-ring stuff is good and continues.
Oh yeah, he's great.
But like, the drama of this match and just how good those guys were at just executing it and incorporating it into what was going on just made it, the most entertaining watch of the night for sure.
Yeah, and obviously Roddy Strong getting involved. He's been a big part of this story as well, kind of behind the scenes. And to the point where I was convinced that, okay, Cole's turning here, Kingdom's reforming, we were right type of deal. And boy, was I wrong on that. But that's how, like I said, that's why this match was so great for me, is like I truly didn't know what way it was going to go. I was pretty convinced that win or lose, Cole was turning heel here and reforming the Kingdom with Roddy Strong, Matt Taven, and Mike Bennett. I still think that's probably going to happen at some point because there's too much smoke here, and those 2 guys coming out to take Roddy out at the end. And I think I've mentioned it before. Roddy wasn't in it, but Taven, Bennett, and Cole were part of the Kingdom in Ring of Honor years ago as a big heel stable. So there's a lot of history there. So, but it didn't happen yet. MJF gets a roll-up win, which, again, makes sense, but I don't love that we have 2 matches end on a roll-up with Takeshita rolling up Kenny as well. But it makes sense of like, and MJF even said it right after as Cole was all pissed off. He's like, it could have gone either way. They still love you. I happen to get the win. So like that makes a lot of sense in the story that it was a roll-up and it wasn't like a super decisive or cheating win. And then again, match ends. He gets both Ring of Honor belts. Like, come on, we're still buddies. You could have won just as easily. Cole chucks the belt out, and then MJF gets fucking pissed. And he's like, you piece of shit. Did you ever give a shit about me? Fuck you. And, he gets the AEW title. And again, MJF is waiting for it, as Cole was earlier in this story, and MJF did not hit him. Roddy Strong on the outside. Do it. And he doesn't. They hug. They embrace. But what's going to happen from here?
That's it's the fight another day. But like, now there's like, I don't know, like MJF kind of like, I really don't know where it's going to go. Like, who's going to turn? I guess it primes Cole for turning on him because Cole's got more of the forces like tempting him to do it because MJF has nobody. MJF's just got himself. And
how great. And I know you haven't caught Dynamite every week, but just this performance in ring, what you've seen from this storyline, MJF is a full throttle babyface. There has been not even a shred of heel in what he's been doing in the last month and a half or so. And I love it. And I think there's a lot that they can do with that, especially if you're going to do MJF and CM Punk, which seems to be, with Punk trotting out his bullshit belt, like, how do you not do this? You know, and that's why I think maybe MJF keeps the title for now. You know, I think Cole easily could have won it, but, you know, this is a money match. You know, their feud early 2021 that ended in the dog collar match, incredible. Some of the best stuff in AEW story-wise. You know, we'd seen MJF for the first time kind of be a baby face for that one promo, the Jew boy thing, getting quarters thrown at him, which he's kind of rehashed in this storyline. So, you know, as much as I hate CM Punk, I think that would be an incredible feud yet again. But if CM Punk wins that, I'm going to be fucking furious.
I mean, would they do that though? I mean, they have to know that like doing that would like alienate so much of the company. Like EVPs, you know, I don't know. I don't see how they could make that decision.
I don't know. I don't know how quickly this will happen. You know, maybe there's another MJF Cole match and Cole does win it. But again, I feel like MJF versus CM Punk is where we're ultimately heading here. Maybe for Full Gear? I don't know. I mean, like I said earlier, we don't know what any of these guys are doing at All Out. There's reports Punk and Jack Perry are going to be suspended, so neither of them may not be there. But like with MJF and Cole, I don't know what's going to main event that show. Kenny Takeshita, to me, is a main event worthy of a pay-per-view, but I don't know about, you know,
the large world. Yeah.
Like I'm a fucking mark. But,
right.
You know,
guys who only watch WWE are going to be like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So do they? I just don't know how you book another title match for MJF from Wednesday to Sunday.
You got to include him on the show, right?
So that's I feel like maybe it's a Ring of Honor. Maybe they get a rematch against Aussie Open and actually give them time and have a great match. Like that would make sense. But again, that's not a main event either. So let me pull up the All Out card for now because clearly stuff is going to be added. But yeah, what the main event of this show is going to be will be interesting because there's seemingly nothing out there right now other than Kenny and Takeshita. So we have, in addition to that, we have, I guess, Orange versus Mox.
Yeah.
That's pretty main event worthy. You know, it's obviously the secondary title, but that title means a hell of a lot more than the TNT title at this point.
Yeah, for sure.
So those, you know, you have those two matches on top. For me, I like it. But again, for the casual fan, well, I mean, I think Orange and Mox is definitely more of a fitting main event now that I think about it. So Statlander and Ruby Soho for the TBS.
There's no tag team. There's like everything's a singles match. That's
for now, yeah, which is the opposite of All In, which had 3 singles matches?
Yeah.
Joe Punk, Cole, MJF, and Ospreay, Jericho.
Yeah.
Miro, Powerhouse Hobbs, and then Luchasaurus Darby. So I like this card. I mean, I love that Miro, you know, we said for years ago, feed him the monsters. Same with Wardlow. So I like this match. Luchasaurus and Darby, I think, will be very interesting as well. So I'm digging what's going on here. I mean, clearly there's going to be more matches added this week, but yeah, I think as we stand now, Moxley and Orange
might be
the main event
too. You know, because they don't want this to like be like a footnote compared to All In.
Yeah,
because All In they already had a lot of the high drama there.
Yeah,
you know, like the title drama, and now it's like, what do you do here? You know,
I mean, maybe this is where Cole or MJF turns, perhaps. But again, I don't know. I kind of don't want that to happen now. But yeah, you're right. I think something big has to happen on this show because you're right. It could very well easily get lost in the shuffle. But like I said, I at least like the card that they've started to build here. So we'll see kind of how it gets sorted out. But I assume we'll learn more Wednesday on Dynamite.
Yeah, we will. We shall.
But yeah, as a whole, like I said, it's not the show of the year by any means. It's definitely might be AEW show of the, I don't know, with this, Revolution and Forbidden Door all are kind of on equal-ish footing for me. Definitely Double or Nothing, a big step down from those this year. Yeah. But I just really had a blast watching this show. Like I said, of the 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 matches, I had 6 at 4+ stars. Just a very, very fun watch. Great crowd. We didn't mention it. Tom had commented earlier that LED tunnel thing was fucking crazy. I thought that was a nice touch that was able to like change. Like it had the barn for Hangman.
Yeah.
It had the painting of Takeshita and Callis, which was very funny. And like I said, crowd, we didn't give enough credit to the crowd. I thought the crowd was awesome. There's the setup, the magnitude of this show. I mean, if it's not a home run, it's a triple. I thought this was very, very entertaining and obviously a huge accomplishment for AEW to pull this off.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, no, we'll see how they do the back-to-back weekend pay-per-views. That's like, see if they can like keep it and see if like I guess the one thing that they don't want is one to just completely dwarf the other. You know, and you wouldn't want to save the stuff because All In is sort of like a rarer thing. You know, I guess maybe now it's going to become a yearly thing. You know, I guess that kind of upsets the sanctity of.
Well, and then after All Out, less than a month later, we have Wrestle Dreams.
So,
yeah, we shall see. But yeah, I'd give this show 8.5 out of 10.
I think it's a pretty good rating. I'd say, yeah, it's definitely above an 8.
There was nothing on the show that was bad by any means. You know, I think the women's match and the 6-man were the weaker matches, but they were still entertaining and fun. Yes. So, like, no stinkers at all. Mm-hmm. Like you said, no match of the year candidates, but a lot of matches in the 4.25, 4.5 range for sure.
Yeah.
And just a very, very fun, entertaining show that ended on a great note, keeping you guessing, not knowing what the hell is going to happen, even up until the bitter end, before the show even went off the air. It's like he could still clock him with the belt or something here, but it didn't happen. So, and a lot of intrigue coming out from specifically that storyline, especially. But, hopefully the women's division may start ratcheting up a little bit. Yep. Like I said, Kenny Takeshita is going to be awesome. So we'll see. I mean, Full Gear always ends up being one of the best shows of the year to me. Like, I feel like it is always, every iteration of Full Gear has been awesome. 2021 probably being my favorite AEW pay-per-view with Hangman winning the title. So Full Gear is always a home run. But, we've got 3 more pay-per-views in the next 3, or 1 the next week, and then 2 over the next 2 months.
Yeah, they're gonna have. I mean, then Wrestle Dream is less than a month away from this. So we're gonna be inundated with it. So we'll see how it goes. We'll get our WWE on, except with AEW.
Yeah, I guess Payback is next week too. I think that's the Saturday before All Out. So I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna watch it. I don't know. We'll see in terms of covering it. Maybe we do a couple matches like we've kind of done in the past, since we'll both be kind of out of town and doing shit. But we'll, as we said earlier, hoping to be coming at you with a little more frequency this fall.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll definitely be doing because we got All Out, so we'll be back at you. So we've been thrust back into the current of wrestling.
It'll probably be like midweek next week, I would think, by the time
we're probably because we'll probably gonna be watching Monday. So
Yep. Well, it was a very fun show. Had fun watching with you, even though we were both a little cashed early on. But I think we got our second wins.
We did.
Any final thoughts here before we wrap it up? That was a very techo thing to say.
It was also that with the Steve Urkel kind of flair. That's about it, buddy.
Cool. All right. Rest in peace, Terry Funk and Wyndham Rotunda. That's all I got. See you next week, baby.
See ya.
Bye-bye.